right, everyone. Welcome. We are so excited. A few years ago, we had both Annie and Guadalupe, or Lupe, as all of her friends call her. So we're her friends. We can call her Lupe. But Guadalupe and Annie, a couple years ago, presented this beautiful program on love. So we had to have them back, knowing that we were going to be right on Valentine's Day and to reclaim it for the way in which love represents itself in the world in all of its phases, um, between humans and animals and plants. And we need this expression so deeply right now in the world as we live in these challenging times. So today, with Salon number 91, I'm very proud of our team that we've actually managed to just keep on slogging through and have wonderful women who want to present. Salon number 91, The Gift of Love, Love of a Person, Love of Humanity, and Love of the Planet, with Annie Finch, who is with us today from Athens, Greece, and Guadalupe Urbina, who is calling in from Costa Rica, up in the mountains on her farm. As always, with great gratitude to Genevieve Vaughan and the International Feminists for the Gift Economy, who support us to do this work. I'm Letitia Layson, your moderator. Let's just begin. And I'm going to give you, for those of you who don't know our friends, Annie Finch is an American poet, a critic and editor, translator, playwright, performer, and editor of the first major anthology of literature about abortion. She has written many books. One, the Poetry Witch book, the Poetry Witch, Little Book of Spells, new and selected poems, and many others. Her poetry is known for its often incantatory use of rhythm, meter, and poetic form, and for its themes of feminism, witchcraft, goddesses, and earth-based spirituality. So we're very excited to hear what she has to offer. Guadalupe Urbina is well known for her work as a singer and a composer, as a researcher of oral tradition of her region, but has ventured into painting, children's stories, and poetry as an extension of her musicality. She is also a published author of 4 books in Spanish. She has built her network across the globe on stages in the 3 Americas, Europe, and other places. So we are so excited to have these 2 very talented and loving women with us. So with that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Annie. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you. Thank you, Letitia. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Maternal Gift Economy. Thank you, everyone who's here. Thank you, Guadalupe, who I am so delighted and thrilled and honored to be back with again. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I have poems and I have some thoughts. And I want to start by saying that I didn't realize when I was young how radical Valentine's Day was until I was traveling in, it was in I think, Egypt in my 20s. And I became aware that there are countries in the world where Valentine's Day is forbidden. It's considered too radical, too obscene, too affirming of sexuality and the body. And then, of course, Eve Ensler has done so much with Valentine's Day now, turning it into V-Day and turning it into an international day for women's empowerment and liberation of the feminine. And, I was thinking about the theme of today, love for humanity, love for the planet, and love for our loves. And I was thinking about just how radical love really is. The great poet Audre Lorde has an essay called The Uses of the Erotic, where she says, that the erotic energy that charges through us, it's not just a decoration or a pleasure, it's actually a revolutionary force that gives us so much strength, so much power to really change the world. And I've thought about that a lot, and my new book of poetry I've been working on is actually very erotic poetry. You'll hear some of those a little bit later. And so I've just been thinking a lot, and I feel that actually the orgasm, the especially the women's orgasm, I believe was originally the religious force, that there is the connection between the sexuality of our bodies and the spirituality of our spirits is and of our souls is, essential and organic, and that this is in a way a connection that needs to still be fully made within feminist thought and within our actions in the world. So that's really the underlying force behind this book of erotic poetry I've been working on. And I'm traveling right now in Athens, Greece. You can see the Acropolis right behind me. And through the window, lit up, there's the temple to Athena, the Parthenon, on the Acropolis right out that window. And I'm traveling here with my husband who's on vacation, and I was talking to him this morning about tonight's event and the theme. And the first thing he said was, well, J.D. Vance and all these people on these right-wing people, sorry to mention these names into this beautiful gathering, but um, it got me thinking. He said that they have this idea of concentric circles of influence where you start with loving your family and then you love other people and then you can love the world, but they think it's very important to start with the family. And I was thinking, for me, I want to reverse that. I want to actually start with the planet, then humanity, and then my individual love. And this is actually better for me in terms of really feeling the power of my eroticism, the power of my romantic passions. If I start with the planet, it opens me up to the power of the goddess. It opens me up to the feeling of openness, of security, of love, of connection. And that creates a sense, a space in which I can then love humanity. And I've always noticed that when I spend time with my women's circles, my sacred women's circles, I would come home and have really awesome sex. Like I would be so hot from being with these wonderful women. It would just open me up and relax me. And so I feel that it could work that way with the planet moving, that creates a space in which we can then love our communities and the wonderful people all around our lives of all kinds of love, and then that in turn opens a space for true eroticism to blossom. So that's the order in which I've organized my poems that I'm going to share with you. A few poems. And the first series are about the planet and the earth. There's a poem for Earth Day. There's a poem about the beauty of a whale, being in love with this whale. And then we move into the poems about humanity, where I will include a poem that I wrote in honor of Genevieve Vaughan called Donans. I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get to it. But Jen has this idea of donans, that is really who we should be, the giving species rather than just the sapiens. We should be those who give. So this poem was inspired by that idea. And then finally, I end with the erotic poems. So it's this moving inward in the concentric circles. And one thing I'm super excited about is that I'm going to be reading two poems. One of them is the Summer Solstice Chant, and one of them is a poem called Your Forest, which have been set to music by Guadalupe. And she, in her part of tonight, she is going to show videos of her musical settings of these poems. And I've heard one of them, and it's just stunningly beautiful. And the one tonight, the other one, Your Forest, is going to be a world premiere tonight on this video, and I've never even heard it, so I'm just incredibly excited because I know it's going to be stunningly beautiful. So I just want to, before I start, bring in the energy of love. Just, I'm just going to cast A circle of love, a circle of love, starting with love for the planet, moving in with love for humanity, ending with the love that surges within our passions. And I'm encompassing everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching, everyone who's here tonight, everyone who may be watching in the future in this circle of love. So beautiful. From here in Athens, a city, after all, named after a goddess. So, for the planet, here's a poem called Earth Day. All we want is to find the love in the faces of the people we love. All we need is to find the dark in the nighttime sky, to lie down to sleep in the darkness where stars and moon keep vigil in the silence of the sleeping earth. All we require is to wake to sunlight in the morning, to simple sky, to breathe aloud as the sky is breathing, to drink the water of the earth. All we need is to touch the planet and find it clean where we were born, where our ancestors breathed and planted, where we live with the plants and birds. All we need is to live with the memory of a future we want to imagine. All we want is to find the love in the face of the planet we love. All we need is to find the love in the face of the planet we love. And this is watching the whale. A hard gray wave, her fin walks out on the water that thickens to open and then parts open around her. Measured by her delved water, I follow her fill into and out of green light in the depth she has spun through the 26 fathoms of her silent orison, then sink with her till she rises, lulled with the krill. Beads of salt spray stop me like metal crying. Her cupped face breathes its spouts like a jewel-wet prong. In a cormorant's barnacle path, I trail her, spun down through my life with the making of her difference, fixing my mouth with her offerings of silence on her dark whale road where all green partings run, where ocean's hidden bodies twist fathoms around her, making her green-fed hunger grow fertile as water. And here's the one that Lupe has set to music that will be premiered in her section tonight. Her Forest. And I have to say, this poem, the story of this poem, is exactly like the story of the theme of tonight. I wrote this poem a long time ago when I first met my husband. We're just celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary in the last month. And so it was 1985 or whatever. And I wrote this poem for him, but I then decided it was really a poem to my mother. And then later I decided it was really a poem to the goddess. And I renamed it Her Forest, but I've called it Her Forest and Your Forest. I could also call it Our Forest because it really is about the planet and about the goddess and about my mother and about my husband. And the love is all the same. And I'm so excited to hear Lupe's setting of this song, of this poem later. Her forest. Her forest goes as green as love. Her ferns are dappled near the ground. and moss they dapple curls above stones that her glacier dappled down. Her night is sadness well contained within the sap that runs the stem of plants that grow along the night and root at morning. Joy finds them, and oceans, lost because they are vast, like ruined roads left on the land, take her kind waters home each time that they, pushing raptly at the sand, make tides with her evaporate rain. The ocean is at peace again. Far algae grows, the blue stays smooth, and in green light the beach is soothed. Her forest goes as green as love. Her night is sadness well contained, and oceans lost because they are vast make tides with her evaporate rain. I believe poems should be heard 3 times, so I'm going to do this again, and then you'll hear it the third time when it's set to music. Her forest. Her forest goes as green as love. Her ferns are dappled near the ground, and moss they dapple curls above stones that her glacier dappled down. Her night is sadness well contained within the sap that runs the stem of plants that grow along the night and root at morning. Joy finds them, and oceans lost because they are vast, like ruined roads left on the land, take her kind waters home each time that they, pushing raptly at the sand, make tides with her evaporate rain. The ocean is at peace again. Far algae grows, the blue stays smooth, and in green light the beach is soothed. Her forest goes as green as love. Her night is sadness well contained, and oceans lost because they are vast make tides with her evaporate rain. Poems for humanity. Home birth. Home is a birthplace since you came to me, pouring yourself down through me like a soul, calling the cosmos imperiously into my womb where the wild rushes start in a quick, steady heartbeat, not from my own heart. This is my body, which you made to break, which gave you to make you till you bear its mark, which held you till you found your body to take, open at home on my bed in the dark. Home is a birthplace since you came to me, pouring yourself down through me like a soul, calling the cosmos imperiously into me so it could reach, could unroll out from the womb where the wild rushes start in a quick, steady heartbeat, not from my own heart. This is my body, which you made to break, which gave you to make you till you bear its mark, which held you till you found your body to take, open at home on my bed in the dark. Moon Lodge. For all the sister circles, for all our sister circles around the world, for the humanity that grows out of our circles of maternal love and sisterhood. Moon Lodge. Weave with us, sister and mother, moon turning us through the dark, weaving us here with each other, turning the darkness and into the light, womb turning, heart turning, soul turning, sisters, goddesses turning us, blessing our turning. Weave with us, women, we daughters, we mothers, wombs turning us through the darkness and light. Goddesses turning us, sisters, grandmothers, circling deep in us, weave with us, daughters and sisters and mothers, goddesses turning us, blessing our turning, turning the darkness and into the light, womb turning, heart turning, soul turning sisters, weave with us, daughters and mothers, wombs turning us through the dark. And this is the poem for Genevieve Vaughan. It's called Donans. It was written on Easter in Rome for Genevieve Vaughan, author of Homo Donans for a Maternal Economy. Donans for Genevieve Vaughan. Human we give, we hear, we remember. Chanting men pacing in jeweled, stiff, sad robes under white marble that clusters and domes, waving their cross, prowling, suffering God. Now, through the weaving of language and giving, past the wide plazas that mourn with our absence, human we give, we hear, we remember how homo danans to open and live now through the weaving of language and giving. Let's spin back widdershins home to our webs, simply returning with wild, wise words folding, unfolding, till heavy with now. Now. Through the weaving we hear, we remember, now it is happening, love's coming close, moving beyond old exchanging, old time. Now we have come to the doors of our home, now through the weaving of language and giving, here in the sweetness that comes without asking. Human, we give, we hear, we remember. This is familiar, was then and is here, now. Through our weaving of language, our giving moves us, until we have burned to be here, naked as birds, naked as stars, spiraling moonwise, each ready, each new, human we give, we hear, we remember. And now, a few poems about love of the body, love of our lovers, love of our erotic energy, love of our erotic power. These are from my new book, which is going to be called Acts of Love and Pleasure. On and on. I am moaning in the forest of the silence as you touch me, lit by candles in the forest as you fill me, as you turn me over, over, through a burning and exploring ceremony. You are in me, hot and ready for the journey that will take us, just as many as my body wants to go on and on, reaching inward to my goddess, reaching onward to my center, turning, sparking through the darkness of my pleasure in her birthing, where my vulva flows with fountains of the cosmos, of her rivers, where I open ever closer to the yearning of her light. The cave of your hand. Trees and veins and ocean moving, move your hand into its loving places till my skin is losing consciousness in your love's musing tenderness, your fingers plucking just the string that leads to fucking music and to sweet surrender. How can such strength be so tender? Over where my breast is surging, your warm palm has crawled its urging. Your sweet blood has poured its yearning heat over my nipples, burning to the place where eagles wonder, dip and crawl, and come like thunder. This is one more erotic poem. Once and again, again. I am a priestess who reaches like fire, crying and calling the tip of desire. You are a worshiper with cock and mouth, finding the goddess who moves me about, singing and calling to open the skies, past my own ecstasy, past my own eyes. There must be a goddess who loves hearing the songs I sing when you fuck me. It goes on tips made of goddess, on skin made of hope, more endless, more beautiful than every rope. And finally, across your face. I wake with you from the moon's tongue, in the dawn's arms where the moon hung. I wake with you just to stay here where your heart leans and your breath nears. Then across your face I feel the sky, the sun, the rain, the knowing why that moves as if it didn't have to try. And across your sun there comes my bliss, your growing hand, our ancient kiss that reaches back and in and says, yes, this. So I will close with the summer solstice chant, which Guadalupe has also set to music, and I've heard this one, and it is so beautiful, her setting. And I'm so excited to get to hear it again, and there'll be a video with her paintings, I believe, which I'm so looking forward to. And this is called Summer Solstice Chant. The sun, rich and open, stretches and pours on the bloom of our work. In the center of the new flowers, a darker wing of flower points you like a fire. Point your fire like a flower, point your fire like a flower. The sun, rich and open, stretches and pours on the bloom of our work. In the center of the new flowers, a darker wing of fire points you like a flower. Point your flower like a fire. Point your fire like a flower. Point your fire like a flower. Point your fire like a flower. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annie. That was so incredibly beautiful and such an island, a sanctuary of sensual pleasure in this very difficult time in the world. Thank you for opening up the portal. Yes.
So much.
Yeah,
Thank you for this space. I haven't shared
absolutely.
some of those before, so it was beautiful to be able to share them with the people here. Thank you.
Yeah. And now we have Guadalupe. I'm just getting chills. The two of you working together in collaboration, a real sense of sisterhood because collaboration requires trust, mutual respect, high skill, and a creative energy that as individuals come together to create something that never would have happened without the two of your unique signatures. So I'm just so thrilled. Guadalupe, it's been a long time since we've had you in our Zoom room, and we are just thrilled to have you. And please take the mic and give us your beauty.
Thank you very much. Hello, sisters, and thank you for this invitation. I'm so happy to be here just sharing with you. I'm always afraid because of my English, but most of the time I have to write what I want to say to don't forget any idea, even when I can amplify more the ideas that I write. Um, I bring some reflections based in this premise that we receive about love for a person, love for humanity, love for the planet. I want to share these reflections from my body and my memory, from the land that gives me my name. I am a woman. I'm an artist. At least the people say that. I mean, we, as a woman, I feel me. Artist is just a little part of my life. Um, Art is the space where I play with the objects and elements that surround me in an attempt to capture a moment that ceases to be a second later. I am the daughter of an ancestral culture that does not separate songs from the fruits of the earth, from the sacred corn with which grandmother is Mukane, is one of the primordial and ancient grandmother from Mesoamerica, is Mukane. She was using the maize to create the humanity. So I cannot separate words from care. I cannot separate music from eyes. I live and do my creative work in societies as you, permeated by power structures that concentrate material wealth, manage life, and decide it course as if it were a commodity. There are elites who govern not only territories, our territories, but also our collective imagination. They tell us now what to desire, what to think, what to fear, what to forget. As you know, right now, the planet is on fire. On social media, pain and disposition have been normalized through image that, from seeing them so often, no longer move us because genocides have reached their most barbaric expression. We have normalized perversion through thousands of documents published in recent days in the USA, which makes conspiracy theories seems like a simple reality or Netflix horror stories, and which demonstrate that the more wealth these financial and technological corporations accumulate, the more perverse their action becomes wherever they operate, especially their control and abuse of the bodies of girls and women. I have to say thanks because I come from a different school. That doesn't mean that everything was good where I come from. I mean, there were a lot of problems, difficulties that we as children had to face. But I mean, I don't, I don't learn about the world from a place of haste or exploitation, even when we didn't have many material things. I mean, I come from a farming family where we practice organic agricultures without calling it that because we didn't knew that that was organic. I mean, that is a slow wisdom that doesn't shut orders at the earth, but rather must bow down to listen to it. I mean, there's from I come from there, from a childhood. I learned that the earth is not a resource, but a living being with memory. Its own rhythm intertwined with the moon and the sun to become food and medicine. The earth also bears bounds, like me, like you, that speak if we know how to call upon them, for they resemble our own. And that is cool that I saw when I was a child, and I try to recuperate now when I am getting old, is to see the seed is not forced, it must be nurtured, waited for until emerge. Nothing can be rushed, because to see the fruit, we must respect the cycles. We cannot measure everything with numbers, with digital numbers. because the seed know its own time to come up, to raise the life. We must care for the soil instead of dominating it so that it will yield fruit for us again. I sometimes I think that the plants are uh, more evolved or with a better evolution than humans. You could have branch and they get another one. We cannot do that. That's why Samhain is a political act that strives for abundance, not the scarcity taught by the system. As Vandana Shiva so clear and right say, the diversity of seeds is resistant to the monoculture of thought, because by sowing our own food, we challenge dependency, reclaim food and territorial sovereignty, and fill our daily lives with dignity. That is really love. Caring for the soil is caring for the future, is deciding what world those, yes, yet new generations will inherit. It is understanding that there is no social justice without ecological justice, that there is no healthy body in sick lungs. And that is what we have now. And that is why we have to go to run to take care of our lands, our territories, and the people who are living there. There is no possible freedom if food is in the hands of corporations and not communities. From organic farming, and I'm sorry that I'm just focusing this theme because it's very important for me. I live in the middle of the jungle, and in the middle of the jungle there is a piece of land where I plant my food. I mean, I'm learning that every true relationship is based on care, is based on this connection with a lot of differences. Each plant here around is different than the other. Observation and reciprocity is what I see every day. And I carry that learning into everything I do. What at least I try every day. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. I have to put attention every day, you know, to talk with a tree if I have to cut a branch. The way I sing, the way I write, the way I love, the way I resist as a woman, aware of a matrilineal lineage that legal names try to erase, but that memory evokes when I recall my mother's and grandmother's and sowing seeds. I keep it still, the my seeds of my grandmother. I keep it still, and I plant them still. Listening to the earth is the first step to listening to each other again. I mean, there is the only way, there is no another way. And sowing the earth with free seeds, sowing my life with stories, paintings, and poetry today more than ever is my act of hope and radical trust. Radical trust. I mean, some people say to me that I'm radical. I said, yes, I'm radical. I'm someone from the roots, from the origins. And I try to be connected to that. As an ecofeminist, I know that the same system that violates women's bodies is the one that plunders rivers, impoverishes communities, and calls devastation progress. Domination, as we have been living here in Mesoamerica, has a pattern: control, control, extract, silence. And it's what we see now everywhere. I think because my voice cannot be privatized. I want to invite Diane to share this beautiful poem of Annie Finch, The Forest, Your Forest. It's a beautiful, beautiful poem. And I record this poem at home in a very simple system. And I have made the translation in Spanish.
Tu bosque es verde como el amor, verde profundo al despertar. Helechos bailan sobre el suelo, musgo y memoria al respirar. Las piedras guardan viejos fríos, huellas del hielo al descender. Todo recuerda sin palabras lo que fue tiempo y sabe ser. Tu bosque es verde como el amor, tu noche guarda su dolor, todo lo triste bien contenido late en la savia y dulce floreció. Tu bosque es verde como el amor, tu noche guarda su dolor, todo lo triste bien contenido late en la savia y dulce floreció. Tu noche es pena bien cuidada, corre en la sangre del vegetal, crecen las plantas en la sombra, raíz nocturna, luz al alba. La dicha llega sin aviso, las encuentra vivas aún, porque la vida cuando espera sabe brotar desde lo azul. Tu bosque es verde como el amor, tu noche guarda su dolor, todo lo triste bien contenido late en la savia y dulce floreció. Tu bosque es verde como el amor, tu noche guarda su dolor, todo lo triste bien contenido late en la savia y verde floreció. Y los océanos tan inmensos, perdidos por su propio mar, vuelven a casa con tus aguas cuando la marea quiere amar. Tu lluvia sube, se hace cielo, regresa en ritmo y en canción. El mar descansa y azul queda, la playa duerme en suave sol. Tu bosque es verde como el amor, tu noche guarda su dolor. Todos los océanos tan lejanos hacen mareas con tu don. Tu bosque es verde como el amor, tu noche guarda su dolor. Y los océanos tan lejanos hacen mareas con tus regalos verdes como el amor, verdes como la mar, verdes como el amor, verdes como la mar, verdes como el amor, verdes como la mar. Wow.
So that's a beautiful poem, really.
Oh,
I can understand exactly the language of Annie because I write my poems too, and sometimes it's necessary to write to write poems for me because language can still be fertile ground.
mm,
I create stories for children because that's where the future world is created. And I paint because there are truths that cannot be contained in a species, but can be expressed in colors, gestures, and symbols. I would like to share the next song. I have made a recording really. It's not a video, but I include in the song and the song that Annie just read, the solstice, and I you can see some of my paintings related with all these poems and the things we are talking. Um, and we can do it, Diane.
The sun reaching open, stretches and pours on the bloom of our world. The sun reaching open, stretches and pours on the bloom of our world. In the center of the new flowers, a dark and winkle flower, a dark and winkle flower, points you like a fire, points your fire like a flower. Fire flower, flower wing, open sun, spilled sun. 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 Fire flower is healing you, sending open sun, spilling you. Is
Okay. Uh, I was invited to reflect on love from three dimensions. Always when Jen invited me is a kind of challenge. She has some proposals that put me in, look for, think about. That's I like that. For a long time I haven't been here, and I'm enjoying a lot now sharing these reflections and music and poems. And thinking about the first dimension, this that love for a person. Wow, from that place, I I'm still practicing every day. I learn to not possess, and it's an experience that never ends. Every person you meet and with whom you share empathy and affection is a school where the good. I don't know if you remember there was an old film called this is spaghetti western called "The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly." It's like that connection with people sometimes. It's the mirror in which I can see myself, challenge myself, and learn. And sometimes you learn to stay and to try, and sometimes you learn just to get out to save your skin. Yeah? The second is love for humanity, where I really wish that no one is disposable in a world we live today that seems like an euphemism, and I have been for many months in a kind of living with this pain of the world. I discovered that every day, if I see some news, I feel a big pain in my heart, in my whole body. And I can see this just because I'm part of the whole body, part of the world. And I can feel everything in my body. Trying just to take care, to go ahead, to think in plans that are helping me every day to go ahead. And the third is love for the planet. And this reminds me that I own nothing. Nothing. I only have I'm only a temporary guardian because this is a maternal gift of life. It's something that I have learned here. I mean, I love that proposal that there is the economy is a maternal gift. Life is a maternal gift, and we have to see life from that place. There is no another place. That's the place where we have really to see the horizon and say, if it's not working on that way, it doesn't work. It won't work. So face, this is see, the earth is a maternal gift of life and all its elements and phenomena that define it as it is. That is the love for the planet. If I can understand that, and faced with the elites, many of them perverse, who concentrate power, I strive to return to the community. Faced with the logic of consumption preached to us daily, I also learn daily about care, daily about care, daily. If I don't put attention, I can forget what I'm doing here. And faced with the fear awakened by this reality full of blood and crimes of all kinds, I cultivate the living memory inherited from my ancestors. You know that when I go to look in Spanish, we have feminine and female and masculine for ancestors, ancestras y ancestros. If you look ancestros in a computer, it's fantastic. But if you look ancestors, it appears like a wrong word. It's an incorrect word when you type there. But I'm happy because I don't speak from abstraction, but just from an intellectual soup or so. Because this is not an object of a discourse to obtain funding or to go and convince the other to what I think. I feel that it is making me more a humble and sensitive person. And that's why this is an act of a small resistance, way of showing you how art, when it springs from the earth and the body, doesn't just adorn the small space around me, but rather reorders it. I'm trusting in the premise that any act we take, however small, impacts the universe. I hope my actions help to reorder the world because what they call the new world order is nothing new and it's not a vital order. And if there is a seed, a song, a story told by candle lights on a terrace or in a garden, no system of domination will be eternal. And of that, I am certain, as my grandmother was. Thank you very much.
Guadalupe, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for your offerings and your words of wisdom. I could really feel the groundedness and the expansiveness of both your words, your images, and how your music wove the words of Annie into a living expression for us to share today and take in. It's just so beautiful. Annie, did you have some particular comments you would like to make at this point?
I was so blown away. I mean, hearing your forest like that, hearing it in the Spanish, hearing your beautiful words, it was just so beautiful, so gorgeous. And then the way you I just loved it so much. And the way you took the green of the forest and the green of the ocean, right? And you put them together at the end. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Such an honor. I just blown away, just blown away. It's incredible, incredible. And then the other song, the Summer Solstice, I've listened to it dozens of times. I'm addicted to it. It's so beautiful. But I don't think I had seen it with your paintings, and your paintings are great. They're so wonderful. And I'm an amateur painter, and I'm dying to know, what do you use for your what's your medium? Is it watercolor or tempera or pastel or markers or
I never learned how to paint. I never went to school or took any course. I just play with paintings. I think that that's what I do with everything.
oh,
I use different kind of materials,
yeah.
even clay with colors
Oh, wow.
or
The
sometimes.
yellow one, especially the one with the yellow background and all the little figures and all the designs. Was that, do you remember?
I'm using handmade papers, and
Wow.
and inside the papers there are different kind of materials, sometimes leaves, pieces of vegetable things or so.
Wow. I'm just in awe. Your beautiful universe of creativity is just
Thank
so
you.
magical. I'm just, wow. What an honor, what a joy. And I love this space. Thank you so much, Jen and Letitia, for this incredible space, for this collaboration to happen. Wow. Thank you,
Thank
Lupe.
you, Jen. Did you
Wonderful.
have any comments at this time before we open up and check in with Liliana and Judith? So, Jen, can you unmute for a minute?
Yes. Well, this is one of the high points of my last months. I'm just like you're putting me back to, you're reassembling me in my humanity. So thank you both so much. It just I've cried the whole time that both of you were speaking and singing. So it really medicine for me. Thank you.
Jen, your
Beautiful.
face was so beautiful when Lupe was singing on the video. Your face was just so ecstatic. It made me so happy to see you. And Letitia, both of you during this whole experience. Just what a wonderful community you've built here out of your ideas. And such
Thank you. And you
powerful,
too,
beautiful
how
ideas.
wonderful women you are. Hooray for the women's movement that has brought us together. I mean, it's so wonderful that we're part of of a of a huge piece of humanity that can actually change things through wonderful work like yours, as well as all the other kinds of work that we do. So thank you so much.
Spreading across the globe, literally.
Yeah, yeah.
Guadalupe, is there anything else you'd like to add at this moment before I check in with Judith and Liliana?
No, just thank you very much because I mean it's incredible to have the opportunity to share and to listen. I think one of the things that I think always is that poetry really is the language of the future. Our our ancestral languages from the original people, from the native people, when you listen those languages, I mean, they are not saying a word. I mean, a tree is not only a tree. In that language, the tree is telling you too the kind of birds that are visiting this tree. And if the
Ah,
trees are growing close to a river or no, or in a savanna. And I think that's why we forgot poetry because it was really complex, involved everything. This is a language, and it's something that we women have in our memory, and we are transmitting that to our children because when we because in our design we need to understand all those things. We need to perceive everything very well because it's what we transmit to the children to survive. And I think all we are born with all these skills to see, understand, but we lost the words, we lost the way of talking. Our language is every time poor and poor and poor and poor, like now, totally technological. You speak less, you write less, you read less. We are losing our languages. And that's why, for me, poetry and arts really are promoting the way to find this in our life.
Yes.
Interesting.
Annie, did you want to offer something now?
I do. Thank you. Yes. What you just said about poetry, well, in particular, I guess many people here probably know that for me, the rhythm of poetry is what makes it the language of the goddess and what makes it speak beyond the mind into the body, into the soul. And of course, with your music, you bring the rhythm out. But when you bring in the mothers, I wanted to say before, Lupe, that when you brought in your mother and at the end you said that it was the memory of your ancestors that gave you the strength to go on. And I've been thinking so much about my mother line and my mother as well and my maternal line. And and you're right, this is the rhythm that gets carried on from the mothers. My mother's voice singing to me is what gave me poetry in the first place. And if we can keep that rhythm alive, I think maybe off the page, off the technology of the written word, and more into the rhythms of our bodies and the songs and the poems with the rhythms that we carry into the children, because children understand these rhythms, and they need these rhythms. And, I also feel the things that are most important we can't ever lose because we're still built for them. So if we can just find that little thread and hold on to it, it will blossom just as big as ever because we still have everything we need. We just have lost the thread.
Yes. In the Philippines, as with many indigenous cultures, I think of my Australian Aboriginal grandmother, Billawara Lee, who is a speaker. She's uh, an important person in the Darwin area. And 60,000 years of a contiguous culture, a cultural memory before written word, was this oral tradition of poetry and prose that was required of the people to share and tell the stories. Even in times of devastation, hunger, and war, they stopped to be able to continue to actually tell the cultural memory so that the culture would still exist. So what we see today are the memories from 60,000 years ago. These are ancient memories, but these are words that come forward with time. And creation stories in the Philippines, some of them take a week to chant. It takes an oral week to chant and dance this whole epic poem to be able to tell the story and the history of the people. So for me, what my first poem was published when I was 10 in an anthology that was a contest that all of our schools in our school district was done. And what it did to write those poems was to help to put a place for the vision of my future. And every year I look back on that poem that I wrote when I was 10, and it is a driving force in the way that I actually serve the world, the way in which I commit to my purpose. And it's that same thing that Guadalupe talks about, is the echo of what our commitment has been as children to actually continue to bring forward with what you brought forward, Annie, as this force of love. And to me, that force is a creative energy that actually, even in some of the most difficult times when a mother has to choose, between life of the entire community and life of a child that's ill. What do you choose? That's love also, to choose. It's a difficult choice. So love isn't always easy. It's not always beautiful. Sometimes it's vicious, but you use love so that other people don't have to suffer. In that moment, the least amount of suffering is what is loving. And this is the way of actually looking at love in its fullness, that it's this, not just this sensual, delightful expression, but it is this fierce force of supporting life, the sustainability of 60,000 years. Come on, folks. No written word, no books, no technology.
That's poetry.
That in and of itself, the pounding and the rhythm of your feet on the ground, feeling it in your body, that translation is just stunning. And to be able for you to kind of open that up for those of us who've been, quote unquote, somewhat civilized, we're all wild, but urbanized. Okay, I'll use that word, urbanized. That it's just a reminder we need to really put ourselves back into the embodied expression of our full ancestral right.
That's right.
Thank you so much. That was so incredibly beautiful. I can't even begin to tell you. And then to have Genevieve, who, when she, you know, um, the gift in the heart of language, meaning, what language does is take everything and bring it into meaning so we can actually connect and relate the symbols that we do. You want to say a little bit about that, Jen, a little bit? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, I'd say it's hard for me to explain it right now because I'm writing something new and I'm figuring out a lot of things so I just see that giving, it has a trajectory that is received, the reception of the gift is a track. It's a movement from one person to the other. And that's the same thing that happens in meaning. When you are using words and the meaning arrives in the other person as a gift. But there's a lot to say about that, and I'm trying to figure it all out so I can speak it better.
I love that the meaning arrives in the other person as a gift, because that for me is what the poetry can do, sort of. And hearing you, Letitia, talk about the 60,000 years, and I'm dying to hear the poem you wrote when you were 10. I hope someday you'll share it. Maybe I don't want to put you on the spot or intrude, but I'm so excited to know about that poem. But I just feel like when poetry carries its gift through the rhythm that they must have used, that's the power of poetry, and the ferocity of poetry is the rhythm of it, in my opinion, the body, the structure, that is the thing that is like a seed. The rhythm is like a seed that opens like a gift inside you when you allow that rhythm to expand inside your body and your heart and your spirit. It's just wow.
Yeah.
I read something there. Someone, Margarita Rosa is asking, if she says, she's speak please about being land woman and multi-pluriverse. Can I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Wow, that's difficult. But being a woman of the earth and multi-diverse is not a label for me. It's a way of inhabiting the world. I mean, I need just to recognize that I don't come from a single root, but from many layers of memory, of peoples and bloodlines, of visible and invisible territories that are coexisting within my body. Um, I mean, I feel that I am a woman of the earth, and all we are women of the earth. Maybe to say women of the earth is just to is related with land and work on land, and so I mean, it's knowing that my body is not separate from the land, especially at this moment when we women don't have easy access to land. I mean, my cycles um, need to talk with the moon, with water, with the seasons. So the earth is not a resource, but a living relative. And that respect is fundamental rule for connecting with all beings. And she said something, she said, or she asked if the storytelling sustains our rhythm. And I believe really that storytelling sustains our rhythm because it springs from the same place as breath, pulse, and heartbeat. Before it was writing, the story was a voice, was maybe a lot of voices, a lot of meetings, a lot of parties, celebrations, or pain. Before it was content in a book or the voice of someone, it was a shared time that we were enjoying or living together with the others. That's, I believe, really that storytelling are really sustaining our rhythm in life.
Thank you, Guadalupe. Let me just check in with Liliana and Judith to see if they have any questions that they'd like to put forward. Liliana.
Yeah, I have a question from somebody that is asking about Guadalupe's paintings, if they're for sale and where we can we see them. Do you have a website or a place that we can see the artwork?
Not now, huh? I have to do that. That's a lot of time in these countries. You know, I am a woman who is working with many things at the same time. And I had a website, but finally, I thought that's really very expensive to sustain a website, and there are now these different kind of social network. I don't know that maybe we can use. You can find some of my paintings in Facebook or in Instagram now, but in Facebook you can find some. You can look for my name, Guadalupe Urbina, and you can find things there. You will find what I do. We women need to learn to do many things and to practice to do everything. We need it. We need it. That is making of us an incredible people to give. We have a lot to give to the world because of that. To come from situations when we learn to do a lot with little, you know, and we who were sustaining our communities that are in wars, when they went to do important things, to kill each other and to fight for turn, we have to sustain the economy. We have to give food to the little ones. We have to sustain animals, maybe with nothing and in danger always. So I think we have many, and at this moment, learning. I'm just learning to how to bring all the things I do online because it's something that I never put attention to. But at least many people do that. Many people is putting things about me in line online. You will find write my name and you will find a lot of things there, articles and and interviews and videos and many things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful work.
Guadalupe, Lupe, is it possible you mentioned Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. Yeah, you will find many things there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and your songs are where do you catalog your songs? I think
You
you
can find everywhere my songs in all the platforms of music. I'm there. Just write my name and you will find me everywhere.
beautiful.
Well,
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Judith, do you have a question for our speakers?
In Annie's first poem, you talked about memory of a future we want to imagine, and Guadalupe's also talked about Earth as a living being and about the ancestral memories. So I wonder if you could talk more about the relationship of memory and imagination.
Beautiful. That's
Annie,
so
why don't
beautiful.
you go first? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that question. And it harks back to the things we've just been talking with afterwards, also with what Leticia was saying about the tradition of oral poetry and oral story, the chanting of the epics, the memory that creates the reality. I once collaborated with an architect on a project about poetry and architecture, and I started thinking about the connections between poetry and architecture, which are very profound because the way I began to understand it, it's like architecture, if you don't have any buildings, you're just kind of in the world. And then imagine when you have buildings, how much the buildings control or affect the way we experience the world, right? Depending on the shape of building that you're inside. Christopher Alexander is an architect I love so much because he understands the pattern languages of the women and the people who create these beautiful experiences. And then the architecture of so many of our cities now is so alienating and depressing. And, it changes everything, right? And in a way, a poem is the same way. It's like you just have this language and this existence, but a poem creates like a space for you to inhabit that ends up affecting and changing your entire experience of life, right? So I think we're not really designed to be just out there with no structure. Like we're designed to have structure and guidance around us that should come from our cultures, and so often now does not come from our cultures. And so many of people from these like overdeveloped, weird, Western educated, industrial, rich democracies. I forget the name of the anthropologist, but he came up with this word "weird" to describe these overdeveloped, crazy cultures that are making everybody so crazy now. And I think our cultures no longer give us this guidance. But when you have, and because there's a sense of rebellion against any guidance or any structure, as if somehow that's wrong and we're supposed to be completely rootless. But I think most people right here now today understand in this group that that's not sustainable or healthy. So I think, again, our imagination needs memory in order to hold it and guide it in the same way that as human beings, we need the architecture of our spaces that we live in, or we need the architecture of the poems to give us containers for all of our feelings, and we need the memories to give us the continuity, to give us a container for our imagination and our understanding of the way we are in the world. So to me, a lot of my work is about creating legacies for the future, trying to create the things that actually are sustaining are sustaining me in a genuine way that I can then encompass into these shapes and patterns to start to create memories that can be held in the culture for the future, so that they can help to create kind of almost like roots that hold the soil against erosion. That the things I create will hold the soil against erosion so that others can plant their seeds of their imagination in that soil and keep it going. So it's like we're creating, we're sort of creating land, islands in the middle of something that had been sort of all destroyed and eroded, but we're starting to create new realities now for the future. I feel that very strongly now at this point in my life, that I am planting, creating the roots that will create some soil that will stay together, that will start to create something that the women of the future and the people of the future, but I think especially the women, will be able to come together and understand together and start to build new cultures around. So that would be the imagination that will grow out of the memories that we are, some of us creating and some of us preserving after 60,000 years, but just all of us together honoring that memory and how important memory is for imagination to sprout.
Thanks, Annie. Judith, would you please repeat your question again? So, because Annie's response was so full, there was so much depth to what she was saying. I want to give Guadalupe an opportunity to go right to the question. And
The question had to do with the relationship between memory and imagination, and both in the past and in the future.
I love that. For me, imagination is not far from reality. I mean, the world is to imagine. We have to imagine a new world to create another one.
mhm.
Working with art is necessary to have imagination. You need just to play with the elements you have around you, and you try to put them in different positions, different views. And the truth is, the story and the memories that have been transmitted to us until today have been constructed by imagination. All the dreams, all the visions we have had through dreams or sacred lands that our ancestors, and not only our ancestors, now our new generation use, are bringing to us new ways of understanding the world and new ways, and can invite you to make new proposals. That's why I really love children. I mean, they can change life in a second. We are playing. Okay, you are this person, and I am, and 5 minutes later, they are fighting and say, no, no, maybe we are not that. We are going to do this, and we will be, yeah, that or this person. So, imagination is really the base of the creation of human beings. It's really the platform that sustain a world where we can change easily to make things better, where we can invent things easily to make life sweeter or happiness, or we have to recuperate imagination as a point very important in our life. I mean, these reasonable things, who can believe in that? Oh my gosh, what are we doing with reason? These days, everything is questionable. We have become aware of the structure that sustain our societies, which favors very few people and corporations and bases its power on crime, thefts and abuse. Now, what I want to do with that? Nothing. I don't want to have a relation with that. No, I don't want. That's what I want, to live so far from the cities. Just stay there if you want to continue fighting with the same things. I cannot, because I lost all the possibilities, all this tool. Is that good? Tools?
Yes.
All the tools that I need to continue fighting. I came here to create a world, a little space. But when you come to visit me, you will see the love we are practicing every day It's a love between the forest and me. It's a love between the dogs and the cats and the animals, the wild animals that are coming to eat my roots that I have there, yuca, tiquisque, ñampi, and all these capybaras like the Watusa are coming. In the morning, you can see that at 5 in the morning eating the roots. And what can I do? We have been fighting 2 years, and finally I said, just eat everything. What can I do? I go to plant in another place. I don't know, in a bag or. I think, Judy, we have to use imagination more than ever now to rescue our soul and our body. They don't know how to do things. Using the reason and being so reasonable and moderated. Sorry, but that's not what we need. We need really to teach the world that we know how to do things. We know how to do it. We that are not reasonable, with more, ¿cómo se dice? I don't know, no puede ser como decirlo en inglés. More passionate, they say. Fascinerosas, ¿sí? Eso quiero. That's what I want.
Thank you, Guadalupe. So beautiful. Jen, is there anything you wanted to offer to this notion?
No, I'm just, I kind of just wonder if you would like to say why the world is in such a terrible shape right now. And Guadalupe also already said part of what would help to heal it. But if you have other comments on that.
Why the world is the way it is?
Yeah, why are we having such a horrible years, many years that are going to also influence the future now? What is the main reason this is happening? And what can we do about it? That's.
Want to go first?
Annie?
Okay.
You're in Greece, so I think you should actually
Okay.
from the
Well,
roots of Western
yeah,
thought.
exactly. Cradle of Western civilization. I was just thinking about that earlier today, and the rhythm of it. Cradle of Western civilization. Bump a bump 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 a bump bump bump. Dactyls and trochees. It seems to me that we are in the death throes of patriarchy. I keep having the image of a fish, thrashing like crazy because it's dying. And that's the only thing I can think. I feel that the bones of the horror that has been ruling the world for the last 5,000 years are just being so exposed now, and they're so ruthless and desperate, and all the masks are off, and we just see the raw death wish. Mary Condren talks about patriarchy as basically a death impulse, the killing impulse, and I think we're just seeing the raw shape of it now, and it's brutally painful and terrifying, but I think that it's perhaps a step before the truth reveals itself, and we will just. My sense, I have incredible faith in women. The women around the world, the network of women around the world that I know are so powerful, and everyone's in the same exact wavelength everywhere. I don't even have to, people I meet instantly, we're all on the same wavelength. And I think it's just a matter of a critical mass of women understanding that we actually have the power to be the center of the culture, that all we need to do is come together, figure out a strong, not even figure out, come together, intuit a strong vision of what's going to happen. And once that is a strong enough vision, it'll manifest, because men are not meant to design things. They're meant to follow our lead, and their shit is totally, disintegrating before our eyes. So hopefully it could all kind of line up appropriately. And then what to do now, I really feel the most important thing to do now is to build our own beautiful, amazing culture and try not to be too distracted. It doesn't mean, ignoring reality, but, you know, hate posting on social media doesn't really help anything. It's just, what really helps, I think, is to believe in our vision and build it and live it as much as possible. The way that I see Lupe doing, the way I see so many wonderful women now doing, I feel if we create something so, the reality of what we envision is so compelling that when we come together and we actually build this compelling vision into reality, patriarchy won't stand a chance. I truly believe that.
Thank you.
Annie. Guadalupe,
Hmm.
do you have anything to offer to Jen's question? Do you need her to say it again for you?
Yeah, I see. Well, that's difficult. That bring me always to the word, to the concept of patriarchy. We know that. We we know maybe this is not a place where I have to repeat what exactly patriarchy is because we know about that a lot. Uh, I always, when I'm talking with a friend of mine, uh, in confidence, I always make a joke like, how did we get here? We know we have spoiled the boys too much. They have time to focus on their toys. We haven't let them grow up. We have let them keep playing and winning so as not to frustrate them. And if you wash their underwear, cook their food, and take care of their children, then they have a time to play, even to play with perversion. It's something that I have talking with a friend because just this morning came my friend Luis to help me with some things in the house. And we have been talking about, and I said to Liz, I mean, you are spoiled children, and we have a big responsibility in that. So one of the things we women have to do is to pay attention to that. Please take care of yourself and don't let them to play with you. Don't let them to play with life. I mean, they can play with life. I mean, when we are children, all children are playing with life. Yeah, they play like mothers and fathers, repeating the same. First, doing the things that mothers do. Taking care of children. And the first time when you said a boy that no, you don't have to do that because it's something that mothers have to do. You cannot give the breath to your baby. So this a lot of things happening around us. What has happened that the only explanation that I have is that we have overprotected some people that they can do whatever they want. Why we are living in this world? This is not my world. This is not what I want to do. I don't want that nobody goes to control my body. I always said, like my grandma said, give me the house 1 week and get out of here. And when you come back, I will clean the house. And of course, she wanted to do that to throw away a lot of things of my grandpa, who had a lot of horrible things that he didn't need. And she said, get out of the house and I will clean this. Of course, she was throwing away a lot of things. And when he came back, what did you do? I didn't have it. We don't need that. Of course. And after he's oh, and now you have to go and take all those things, keep them where you want to keep, but not here in this house because it's the house of all of us. Take all your things and look for where are you going to keep that. And I think we need to do that, This is just your trash. Take all of the things and look, what are you going to do? Let me in the house just 1 week and I will show you and I will put all the things out. It's something that I love to think about. My grandma Adelina, who was like a Victorian woman, terrible about what we have to do and everything. But I mean, that's that's a story, a story. That's a story. But I really think that we women have to take our place where we have to be. We need to really gain self security, self love to say, you don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. You don't know. Just to say that openly everywhere, you don't know how to do it. You don't know. We know. Let me do it. If you don't let me do it, it will be a horrible chaos. You and we cannot stop saying this. We have to take the responsibility because we have responsibility permitting these little guys to do that. And they grow up doing the same, playing with things, computers, phones, and a lot of things, but they don't work taking care of life, using technology to take care of life. They don't do that. I don't see that. And technology can do a lot of things for us, a lot to help us, but they are not using that to help us. We don't have access to that technology to help us.
Thanks, Guadalupe.
A lot
Jen.
of that technology is made to make war and kill people. So of course it's not going to be good for helping people.
Or to replace people, replace what people enjoy doing, the work often, not always, but I want your grandma Adelina to come back and clean the whole planet. That would be awesome. What would she just need? 2 weeks?
Funny, it wasn't funny. Said Emilia that I don't want to talk to him for 1 week. My grandpa.
I love it.
My grandpa had a lover, and someone told to my grandma he took the horse and was maybe about 20 or 30 minutes to get to the farm where we were planting the food. It was a big terrain. And he went there early in the morning. And somebody said to my grandma, he is meeting someone on the way to, yeah. And sometimes when he comes back. So my grandma said to my two sisters, come with me. And they didn't know where my grandma was going on five in the afternoon, in a village where we had no electricity at night. And she went and saw where he has the horse. He took the horse, put the children in one horse, and she was in another horse, and they came back home. So Emilio didn't find a horse when he tried to come back home. And he came back home almost at 7 at night or so, walking, very tired. And he said, someone steal, is that a word? Steal my horse. Yeah. And my grandma said, someone is using my horse for things that are not important for my family. This is our horse. It's not your horse. This is our horse. That's why the horse came to the place where it belongs. Where the horse belongs.
That is so perfect.
What
because instead
what I have seen when I was a child. That's whoa. Imagine a little girl looking at that and listening that. Oh my gosh. Or saying to someone, if you dare to kill a dove, don't forget that you can kill a person. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we have to go back, I think so, to that knowledge. So easy knowledge, so basic, but really taking care of life, taking care of the community.
Yeah.
Letitia, it sounded like you were about to say something.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's very challenging, we're speaking in English. our orientation often is from this place of patriarchy as it rose up in old Europe or in Europe itself. But colonization, you look at the world, the whole world, colonization didn't happen at the same time, which meant as the waves of colonizers came over, the last people still had their traditions hundreds of years ago, not thousands of years ago. So I would say to people who are wanting to understand how these things could turn around would be to really look at, not make the indigenous people be your teachers, not appropriate their behaviors, but to understand the humanity in which they were able to sustain their culture and life force at the core of the value of what it means to be human. Mm-hmm. And the reason that Jen's theory or Jen's idea of the maternal gift economy is a global event is that we're all human. So no matter how long you have had patriarchy oppressing you, for 100 years, 200 years, 5,000 years, you still have to come back to that place of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
In the place of actually listening or knowing what is needed to actually turn things around, cultures that have only had oppression for a couple of 100 years, maybe 300 years, don't need to do the same work or assume that the European process of having to dig into the deep roots of patriarchy are necessary for the cultures that have an ancestral memory that still lives in the forests and trees that they live in.
That's right.
Because what happens, again, going back to what I said earlier, collaboration requires people to have respect and trust of our differences and individuality and know what gifts we each have to offer. I don't think we need to educate Indigenous people to understand what patriarchy is, because they've been fighting it off for the last couple 100 years. Women in Europe have been trying to figure out why they can't get a level up because they couldn't name it, because it was so embedded in the culture that they were growing up in.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think we just really need to listen. This is, again, to me, why Jen's work was really critical in my lens of listening. What is the need? Western education was built on industrialization, and everybody should be given the same thing. But every child doesn't have the same needs. So we need to actually go back to the maternal roots of looking at needs and find what's appropriate.
Yeah.
What is appropriate? Because once the sisters who have a closer, access, like Jen and I did the program, I think it was something about the mother house. And we had our first teaching were two women of the Haudenosaunee, the Iroquois Nation. And they said, we have 1,000 years of a democracy that still exists today. Did you learn that in school? That they still, even today, are practicing a democracy on their reservations? Okay. I mean, this is part of the lens that is corrupted of the Western gaze, I think, of trying to recreate something that people are already living. And they said, the two women who were teaching us, these elders were teaching us with the wampum, said, we are appealing to the women because they're a matriarchy. And to be a mother, to be a woman, is both an obligation and a responsibility. And, you know, we have a responsibility to actually really understand what it means to be woman, what it means to actually be a matriarch, what it means to be a good elder, and how we have sisterhood where we can be mutually respectful of the differences that people have. You know, this is I think a critical nuanced point. I can tell you that I had to I learned a tradition of Western Europe, you know, and have, you know, am recognized in that area. I was responsible to have to understand the history of Europe in order for me to communicate with women who didn't know their history, who were European, so that they could actually live a life that I have been living since birth. And I was told, and I'm just going to say it here, it's going to be recorded. Oftentimes in that community, I was told I couldn't have possibly grown up in a home where I didn't have that kind of strife, or I couldn't have grown up in that environment because I grew up within patriarchy, but I didn't have a patriarchal mother or a patriarchal father.
Right.
So I have
Yeah.
women who were wanting to be, you know, not patriarchal, trying to tell me that they didn't believe what I
Yeah.
was telling them as my story of growing up, because I don't know why.
Yeah.
So weird. It's a weird thing. All right, Genevieve.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think we've misdefined the human race. We say we're Homo sapiens sapiens, and instead we're actually a mothering species, a maternal species. And by thinking we know everything as Homo sapiens knows and knows that he knows, he doesn't know. It doesn't know that we are maternal, and we've gotten a way to make ourselves as a parasitic economy and culture on the maternal. And so we need to get back to realizing who we really are. And the women's movement can do that because we are all maternal, because we've had the maternal model when we were little. Somebody gave to us unilaterally, or we would have died. So everybody has been selected, men and women, by this maternal necessity and the actual performance of that care. So
Yeah.
we are, and that is gifting. So we're not who we think we are. We're better than we think we are.
We are better than we think we are. We have everything we need. And I love what you said, Leticia. Makes so much sense. And I'm so heartened by the fact that the word matriarchy is starting to enter Instagram and the popular discourse finally, after watching it be so hidden for decades. I've been part of this community and finally seeing that vocabulary getting out there. But it seems to me the patriarchy that really oppresses the women who are still under the weight of thousands of years of this crap, that's really based on isolating women from each other. And you know, if I my playbook for those women who are like me, who have thousands of years, generations and generations, the goddess is all gone, the mother line so decimated, the first thing I would say is ignore the patriarchal divisions between women. And even with political parties, you know, like I feel connected to every woman, even if the patriarchy tells me she's an enemy. They tell me that she belongs to another culture, another race, or another political party, or class, or another aesthetic, or something. That bullshit. I mean, I really feel that it's very important what Virginia Woolf said, as a woman, I have no country, I'm a citizen of the world. So number one, just get rid of those divisions among women and stop ratting on people just because they're on some other stupid patriarchal team. We are all women, we have to come together. And number two, then start to connect with the women in your own family and connect with the women in your own lineage and connect with your own goddesses. And we're all human beings. And as you say, Letitia, we'll find that for ourselves. And I think that's one of the most helpful things that women can do who are just, living with internalized patriarchy, is just to start creating chosen matriarchal clan if we don't have a real one. It's the best we can do.
I know it feels like we haven't, we have so much to cover, love and what we have to offer as solutions. So let's go into our closing now. And Jen, please, you had your hand up, but in this moment, what is it that you would want to offer here? And
I don't know. I just have hope whenever you can and learn from other women and nature. And I do think I think we can do it. I think we can make it in spite of, just awful things that are happening. So genocide, people and ecocide, and a total insanity in our leadership, the United States, and but I think we can, and I want to be part of it, and I want you all to be part. We're sisters in doing that. So thank you so much. Thank you all so much for coming and speaking and singing and saying your poetry, and just so beautiful. And I think it shows that culture is so important, women's culture. So thank you.
thank you, Jen. Annie, is there something you'd like to offer in closing as we what will happen is that I'll just say a few things about what we have upcoming before we actually exit the room. So what would you like to offer?
Speaking the rhythm of heart, I offer my heart to the love all of us share with each other, all of us share with the world, all of us share with our mother lines, all of us share with maternal magnificence.
Thank you, Annie. Guadalupe, is there something you'd like to offer? It could be words in speaking, or you could offer us a song, or what would you like to offer in closing in this beautiful program about love and hope and
Yeah,
inspiration?
I was thinking that we come from different geographies, histories, races, and circumstances, and patriarchy has affected us all. Here in my land, in our lands in Central America, Mesoamerica, even the Spanish invasion, patriarchy was already established in our lands. I mean, you can see that very easy in the Mayan calendar. Compare it with another calendars in the Americas. If you see the last calendar of the Aztecs, it's a calendar, it's a solar calendar. And the symbol of the civilization was an eagle eating a snake. But in the center of the America to the Amazonia, snakes were very important because we're symbol of the water. Mm-hmm. And we women were totally connected with that, mm-hmm. with water. And we forgot to talk about civilizations, talking from the water, from the water view of life. What I really believe is that we have to get together more often than normal. We need to get together now. I mean, virtual things are important, and thanks for inviting me to this, because this is a good tool to meet and to talk. But we need to get together, we with all our differences, from different geographies, races, histories, circumstances, everything. We need to meet together to talk about this, not only to talk, but to do things. I mean, I'm refusing this idea of the industrial society, the big and massive things. Forget it. The success of the world is just what the little communities are doing to change their life. And that is the only thing that they cannot attack easily, because it's like a virus here and there and there and there, and they don't know how. It's like the gorilla, you know? It's like just in little communities, everything is doing little things. Just get together to talk about what we are doing, how we can help each other, how we can survive even our differences, how we can learn respect between us, even our differences, because this is a time where we cannot respect anyone. How can we do that? We lost our confidence. We don't trust anyone. So that's why to meet is important. We have to meet us. Well, just want to meet me, just come and visit me, because I cannot get a visa to go to visit you. But anyway, yeah, really, just come and visit. Just talk about all these differences. Just do things to try to understand each other. Why I have this, the history is, framing me in a place, in a mind, how we can do that. Because we cannot refuse our origins. And I cannot say that my way is the best, or my grandma. I mean, if I have with a partner, I won't do that my grandma did. I mean, fighting this, you don't have to, because that was the way she had. It was the only way she had with a lot of children. Maybe I had another way, but different generations, different situations. But I think the best way to solve that is just meeting each other, talking. And this is the big challenge we have at this moment, because it's dangerous to travel. There is no money to travel. There is no possibilities, to go. It's some safe, ¿cómo se dice? Inseguro, insecure. Everywhere we go. In Latin America, worst, I mean, I cannot go to Cuba now. I can go to Cuba, but if I go to Cuba, I cannot go to another country. So that's the way how the war is. We have to make the difference, because we know how to do it. We know how to do it. Don't forget that. We know how to do it. As my grandmother, Lina, I mean, she knows how to change that. And that doesn't mean that we have to do it alone. We have to make the change. No, that means that we know how to do it. Please listen. I mean, you have made a mistake. You have made a big mistake, dear. That's a big mistake, this war. Listen to me. You don't listen, I go to do another thing in another place, and forget it. Forget it. I don't be part of this. Even when they obligated us, I mean, they obligate us to do what they want to do.
Is that what she would tell us now, your grandmother, if she were here? How would she answer this question? Is that what she would say?
Oh, my grandma, no. She will close the door to them. Get out of here. No, she was, I mean, but I have a son. I have a son. I love my son. And I know how he has to deal with the world. I mean, it's not easy for him either. I mean, I want to protect my children, because I am a mom. I'm talking, and that's important. I mean, I'm a woman, but I'm talking really about life from the place of a mother too. I have a son, I have a daughter, and I can see how are they dealing with this war. I mean, I don't feel me guilty because the war, I mean, I didn't ask to live in this war. I didn't ask them to teach me in the school to buy shit with colors. I mean, I don't want that. I didn't want that. I didn't ask for that. But I think it's important. That's why it's important to. My grandma maybe would be, she was terrible. As I told you, I only say that she was a kind of Victorian woman with this mind, rigid in many ways, and everything in the place, the things have to be, yeah, and imposing many times their volunteers to the others. But she needed to do it because she has a big family. And it was a clan. Here was my grandma and my grandpa in a house, and there was my aunt and my uncle, and they're in a terrain, all people together, and she was in the middle of, and when there were a hard problem, they went to talk to her. And she said, this or that. I think she can say good things, but I don't know if her way will be the best.
Oh, we'll
For
have
our
to all
time.
come up with something.
Jen, yes, please.
I just wanted to add, there is somebody that is doing matriarchy now. Heide Gertner Abendroth and all of her group are promoting matriarchy, studying it, starting new groups, and having demonstrations of matriarchal studies and so on. So it's already happening, and that is something we can count on and love.
Wonderful.
Even when I don't come to the group, it's something that is very important deep in my life. That idea. I mean, the maternal gifts is a revolution. When I talk to that about people, they said, what are you talking about? Because I began to talk especially about our ancestors and matrilineal, way of living, transmitting the name, transmitting the land, and administrating the food and the production of the land. And it's very interesting that women understand that very easy. They said, oh, that will be wonderful. We will do it very well. I think people really love to hear about. And I know that there are places where this is happening probably. And and I put my phone. So I think we need to go on that way, to believe really that I'm talking as a woman, I'm talking as a mother, I'm talking as a creator, as someone who plays with life, with materials of life, and someone who is dreaming still. Better to have a better world.
Dreaming still.
Thank you, Guadalupe. And thank you, Annie. It's been so beautiful. You curated your talks so beautifully. They came together so well, and you stimulated not only the left brain, what was needed, this, language and words, but you also opened up the right brain so that we could have this whole experience, a whole brain experience that moves us into a place that's uniquely and specifically different. We need to create more of those spaces. So I want to just thank both of you for taking the time on this Saturday to join us here. I want to thank, of course, Diane and Lisa, who in the background, we really don't see their faces on the screen, but they're here to hold us. That should the technology need them, should one of us need them, they're there silently supporting us, and sometimes not so silent. But thank you so much, Liliana and Judith, your patience, your eyes to the words that are being typed, both in the Q&A and in the chat. I just want to thank you with deep, deep gratitude. Of course, Jen and the Maternal Gift Economy, the International Feminists for the Gift Economy, your creative input, your network of women that you bring to us helps us to curate really good programming to bring to the community here. And I'm just going to thank myself for showing up. My birthday was a couple of days ago. Um, it was delightful because the whole moment was to bring me to this place of just feeling like I was in this nurturing place of deep, deep love. And I want to just tell you what exciting programs we have coming up in the next 3 events. Um, on the 28th of February, we have a special event. You know, as we've mentioned, there are difficult things going on in many places of the world. And Jen likes to bring us information here so that we're aware of what is going on and how we can help our sisters. So in 2 weeks, on Saturday, February the 28th, we have a special event that's going to focus on the Kurdish women. We have Rojada Yildiz. Is that her? That's her name, Jen? And
Rajda Yildiz.
Rajda. And we're excited to have her. There was an event that happened in Colombia that included many Kurdish women went to it, and I think it was in Bogota. So we're waiting to hear of another woman who will be with her, but we hope you'll come because they have an incredible women's culture and what they're doing to share with us. For March, Women's History Month, we have 2 great salons. I'm just thrilled. Saturday, March 14th, Salon number 92, we're going to have Heidi Gutner Abendroth and Joan Marler, and they're going to be talking about Maria Gimbutas and matriarchy, which is just, amazing and foundational work. And then on the 28th of March, Jen referred to her new writing, her new research, and Jen is going to be giving us a salon and featuring some of her latest thoughts and ideas about the maternal gift economy. I'm just very excited. So we hope you'll come back, and we hope today that you celebrate yourself in love and celebrate the world in love. And remember that every choice that you make affects the world. And that is part of your political action. So we ask you to do it with love. And sometimes we know it's fierce love, but always from a place of supporting life. So to all of you, peace, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye for now.